Hey everyone, Jason here, and I'm back with another Nanocoaster video. Today we're going to be putting together Emperor from SeaWorld San Diego. Emperor is a B&M dive coaster that opened in 2022. It's 153 feet tall and reaches speeds of 60 miles per hour. This is a coaster that we were able to experience last summer. This was my second dive coaster after Valraven at Cedar Point, but I actually think I preferred this one just a little bit more. This kit is available from the park for $49.99. SeaWorld does price their Nanocoasters a little bit higher than the other parks. Not quite sure why, but I guess they can get away with it. It is eligible for season pass discounts though. SeaWorld shop online does have a lot of their Nano coasters. However, the last time I checked, this one wasn't there, so that's something you may want to look at, possibly also eBay. But ultimately, this is available from the park for $49.99, so let's jump right in. Now in the box, we have four things. First of all, we have the tip sheet, which tells you how to cut it out. I like to use flush edge wire cutters. This says to use nail clippers. We don't need that, so I'll put that off to the side. We also have our instruction sheet. This gives you all the instructions on how to do it. Our acrylic base plate here with a protective covering, as well as our track sheet with each of the track pieces. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is peel this protective covering off of the base plate. This one has the blue protective covering, not the brown paper one, so you can tell it looks pretty bad. But to do this, you're just going to kind of put your fingers underneath one of the sharp corners here and then peel it away. On the top, you have the entire track layout etched into the base plate, so you're going to have to peel off multiple pieces because it's cut there. On the bottom, you should be able to peel it off in one piece. So I'm going to peel this off really quick and then we'll proceed at that point. Now if you've seen my other videos, you know something I like to do extra is to add an extra logo to the base plate. The kit does come with a little Emperor logo sign right here. However, I like to have something a little bit bigger. So here I've cut the Emperor logo out on my Cricut using a metallic vinyl, and we're going to apply that here. If you'd like to do the same thing, I do have the SVG file of this logo down below that you can hit download with. But I'm going to peel this off really quick, apply it to the base plate, and then we'll move on to cutting the track pieces. So there we have our logo applied. One of the nice things with this one, there's actually quite a bit of empty space. You don't always get that with these base plates. But this one has a pretty big space there that was perfect for adding the logo. So the next step is going to be to cut out each of our track pieces here and then lay them out in order for assembly. The best way to do that is with a pair of flush edge wire cutters. These are ones I just picked up on Amazon. They do wear out over time, so if you're doing a lot of models, all the models behind me I did with basically two pairs. This is the third model that I've used this pair on, but we can basically go around. Next to each of the track pieces is a little basically wire holding these in place. And so you can go around really close to the edge and just simply cut each of these away. I'm going to go around this piece really quick and I'll kind of show you. Just simply go around. If you have a pair of new wire cutters, this is actually going to be fairly simple. You can just kind of, with very little pressure, go around and cut each of these. As they start to dull a little bit, it's going to become a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to use a little bit more pressure. But with this being a fairly new set of wire cutters, like I said, I can just kind of go around really quickly, cut each of these tabs out. So there we have our first piece of track removed. When you're doing this, you want to be careful not to bend it, so you can take your time. I'm going to quickly go around and cut the rest of these out, and then we'll pick up at that point. So now we've cut out each of the track pieces and have them laid out in order, we can start assembly. So the first piece we're going to be installing here is this mostly flat piece with just one little hill here. This is going to comprise your station area as well as your brake run. And this is going to actually run mostly along the front edge of the track here. And so with this, we're actually going to have it held just this way. So we have these two big tabs that are going to go around this flush edge of the track here. With the hill over here to my left, your right, we can just kind of drop those down into place. And then we're going to kind of curve this around here at the end and just kind of follow the track layout etched into the base plate. There's a little single tab here at the apex of the turn, and then we'll just continue around here at the far end, and we'll put those two little tabs into place. Like I said, on this side, the two longer ones are a little bit more difficult to push in, but you can see them like that. And then at the other end, same thing. We're just going to follow the track layout and just very carefully bend it. You don't want to do any sharp kinks. If you have something round, you can use that to help shape it. This one's probably between a AA and C cell battery, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. I like to use batteries and such. But you can see there we have the track in. It is not shaped exactly how I want it, so I'm going to fix that in a second. But before we do that, I'm going to come underneath and I'm going to fold over each of these tabs. When you do that, you want to make sure that you're holding the track on the bottom, just to make sure that it's pressed in all the way. And you also want to make sure that as you bend these, you're not going over any other holes in the plate, because other tabs may sometimes need to come up and overlap it. With this particular piece, that's not really going to be an issue. You get a little bit close here with this last one. There's 2 other holes there, so we're going to bend away. However, I don't think it would have been an issue. So there you can see the piece of track installed. Now I'm going to use a D-cell battery here at this sharper turn down here and just kind of put it there, and then just use my fingers to press up against it to help shape it. Now at this other end, like I said, it's kind of between battery sizes. I have some other round things. I have this little paint bottle here. It's actually a little bit too big. So at this other end, I don't really have anything that's the right shape. And so I'm just going to kind of take my fingers here and just very carefully go over the track, as well as look at the etching here in the plate and just shape it exactly how it is etched into the plate. It's not going to be perfect, however, it's pretty close. So there you can see our first piece of track installed. So the second piece is going to be this one with just a singular hill here. This is not going to continue off of that last piece at all. However, it is going to go over it, just over this end here. This hill has basically connection points here at the bottom, and so we can kind of bend it just a little bit to make sure that those kind of fit into place and push them down inside. And then once again, just follow the etchings on the base plate, just following the curves until you get to this one on the end with the singular tab. As well as on the other end, we have the longer tab that's going to go in on this back edge here. So once again, we can just kind of put those down into place, bend over the tabs underneath, making sure that there's no conflicts. Once again, I don't believe there are any here anyways. Make sure you hold the track in place. And then once again, come up above and just make sure that your track layout and your bends are basically exactly the same. It looks like this one actually went in pretty smoothly. And so there's our second piece of track installed. So the third piece is going to be this one that has the 2 hills, and we're going to continue from this back edge here off of the piece we just did. And we're going to do that with the bigger hill here. So we're just going to start here right where we left off there and drop this single tab down into place, and then follow the base plate around to drop the second one into place. And then we're going to have a little bit of a sharper turn here. We can fix this a little bit. Like I said, don't get any kinks in it, but as long as you don't get any kinks, you can fix the shaping a little bit afterwards. I don't think this one's easier to pre-bend. Drop the third tab in. The fourth one we're just going to get lined up a little bit, because then we actually have to hop over this next track piece. And so we're going to hop over it really quick, line up the next tab, and then there's a sharp turn here right at the very end. And so this one we may need a pre-bend. So right here at the very end, there is a sharp turn. We'll bend that a little bit. Once again, just get these down into place. And then once we have it there, we can just press them all down. Bend over the tabs underneath again to hold it into place. And then once again, go over it from above and just make sure that the track shaping is just right. You have the whole whole track layout etched into the base plate. So you can just kind of come in here and bend it, make sure everything lines up. There are a few places here that the track is a little bit weird just because of the way it was shaped. Make sure that your track ends line up perfectly. And that's going to complete track piece number 3. So track piece number 4 is going to be the initial lift hill, the turnaround at the top, and then the first drop. This is going to continue off of the first piece that we placed. So like I said, we had kind of the brake run and the station area. It goes into this turnaround and then up the first hill. This one we may want to do a little bit of pre-bending here. So for this one, I'm actually going to come on here and measure about where this turn is going to start. So the turn up here is going to start here basically between these 2 supports. And so for this, a D-cell battery is a little bit too big. So for the shaping, we're going to bend it around this paint bottle. So I figured out that we need to go between these 2 posts here at the top. That's where the turnaround is. And you want to make sure you're bending it the right way. And so we're going to have this right here, right where it would go. Put this paint bottle here and then just bend it around. This is going to give us a really good rounded curve here at the top. It's not going to be quite as tight as we need it to be. Even a C-cell battery is probably a little bit too big. AA is way too small. But you can see we have a clean curve here that at least gives us a starting point. And so once we have that here in place, we can kind of come down here to the bottom of the lift hill and drop the big tab into place, and then we just need to kind of come along here with each of these and line up the single tabs. It's still not going to be completely bent perfect, but this will help us just kind of line up exactly where we need to without having to do, you know, a sharp kink in it. So on the turnaround, there's two tall supports. We'll drop those down into place. And then down here at the bottom of the drop, there's a medium tab and then a slightly bigger medium tab. And so that's going to give us our turnaround area there. Once again, we'll come underneath and bend over these tabs to hold it in place. And then come up above and just tighten this turnaround just a little bit. Like I said, it's just not quite where we want it. Now, something else with this piece, it does have these angle supports, which I believe are supposed to be bent a little bit. Now that it's installed, it may be a little bit harder to do, but I'm just going to get a pair of needle nose pliers here, and we'll come here to the top and just this edge, and we're going to just kind of twist it around. Doesn't need to twist a lot, just a little bit there. There's one on the other side as well, but looking at the instructions, I actually don't think the one on the other side is supposed to bend. It looks like it's already where it's supposed to be. It looks just like this one on the lift hill side is supposed to bend out a little bit. And so that's going to complete step number 4. So step number 5 is going to be this final piece. It's going to be the implement after the drop. This one is just going to, like I said, continue off the drop and then connect to our other open piece there. This one does have a slight turn in it. I'm just going to kind of bend it a little bit with my fingers here, just a little bit, just get it a little bit of an arch for a pre-bend. And then we can come on here and drop these two tabs into place. This one I think you do need a pre-bend just because it is going over some pieces. But that, you know, just a slight bend there, it actually went into place really easily. We'll fold over the tabs to hold it in place. And that is going to complete the track layout there for Emperor. Now the final step on the instructions is going to be to install the sign as well as the station building. The sign here has the little logo on it. So this goes right here after the little implement, also right next to the station. It's going to face away from where I would normally put it, but you just drop that in the single tab, fold over the tab underneath, and push the sign back. The station, if you've ever done another nano coaster, is usually a little house building. This one is not. I think this is the first one I've seen on a regular nano coaster. It's not a Nano Coaster Plus. That is just a 3-sided piece here. So it just has 2 little scored areas, so we can just kind of fold it over and it will have a flat roof. When I rode Emperor, I don't believe there was a roof over the station area. I can't remember there being a roof. I think they did add a shade canopy at some point, and so I think that's kind of what this is trying to mimic. And this one actually doesn't even go over the track, so this might be more of a platform here. So we bent the 2 sides down. There's actually 2 tabs just to the side of the track here, and like I said, this may be just trying to mimic the ride platform rather than a station, since it's actually kind of flush with the track level there, kind of making fun of the fact that it doesn't have a station building over it. And so that's going to complete the kit from SeaWorld San Diego. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know something I like to add is a piece of felt to the bottom. This is an adhesive felt that I just purchased from Amazon. It's relatively cheap and really easy to use. I like to add this because if you look at the bottom with all these tabs bent over, it kind of creates a rough surface. It'll scratch whatever you're doing here. And I don't like that. I like to just have a soft bottom here. It holds the tabs in place. And so, like I said, this adhesive felt's relatively cheap. You can also typically get multiple coaster models out of it. You can see I've already cut Wild Thing out of this sheet. And I can basically take Emperor down here to this one end and still leave a relatively large area. So for this, I'm just going to put Emperor here, and then I'm going to take my pencil here and just trace around the base plate. And once we have it traced onto here, we can just take a pair of scissors and cut just inside. You don't want it right on the line because you don't want the felt to hang over. The felt does stretch as you start adding it. So I like to cut just about 1/8 of an inch inside, and then we can apply this to the bottom. So there we have our piece of felt. To apply this, we'll just peel off a little bit of this white backing here on the end. I like to just peel off just a little bit to start and then tear it. And then we can line up the nano coaster here, making sure that it completely covers the felt underneath. And then just press down on the end. Once we have that, we can come back underneath and peel off the rest of the paper backing. And then I like to use the edge of the table here to help me apply it. You can just kind of use the edge of the table, also use your hands to line it up, make sure that it stays underneath. If it does come over just a little bit, you can trim it. It's typically nicer if you don't have to though. But you can kind of see that that has just a really nice felt bottom there to it, so that when you rub this around on the table, it doesn't, mark it up at all. So once again, that was the Emperor Nano Coaster from SeaWorld San Diego, available from the park for $49.99. I don't believe it's available online anywhere. So the all-in assembly time on this model, my camera's currently sitting at 31 minutes and 50 seconds, so a little bit under 30 minutes, really not too long. If some of that was talking, we've cut out some of the fluff, so the video's probably not that long. But really it took about 30 minutes to put together. If this is your first model, you want to go a little bit slower probably. Take your time, make sure it looks good. If you've done a lot of these, you may be able to do it a little bit faster. If you like this video, if it helped you out, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. If you want to see more Nano Coaster, Coaster Cutout, and what other videos I decide to put out, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. And if you have any feedback, anything else you want to see from the channel, any comments, make sure you comment down below and let me know. Thanks for watching and have a great day.